6:17 a.m. on June the 23rd of 2021. So I just looked at some news. Re-emerging from lockdown. I wanted to know what was going on with the world since I haven't been reading any headlines or looking at the news, and I'm sure a lot of people have. Thank you for joining me. So these were like the headlines. July is looking good. Of course, we know there are certain main news streams that's all you're going to hear from. I ain't even going to get into it, but yeah. Re-emerging from lockdown, fashion and beauty tips for post-confinement world. So we got a post-confinement world. Confinement? You mean we've been in confinement? Good morning. Yes, good morning. And with that being said, hello wherever you are in any part of the world. Hello from my heart to yours. So just the words that I'm seeing here. Lockdown and post-confinement world. But is it over? Is the confinement over? Is the lockdown over? Or will there be more? That's kind of like the question. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I know a lot of people are not getting notifications. Christina, yes. I'm sure a lot of people aren't getting notifications to my videos, and that's understandable. It really is. You know, I was reading something. It says, how can you be, I catch myself at times saying, I am grateful. I am thankful that I have social media to connect. But then on one hand, I complain about it, and that's really not gratitude. It's kind of contradictory, so I apologize if I come across as contradictory. Um, yeah, it's just like a doublespeak. Being thankful, but yet complaining about that which you're being thankful for. But this ain't about that, you all. It's not, but that really is like gratitude is, you should just be thankful and not complain about what you're not thankful for. I don't need to put a negative spin on it. I don't. So anyhow, yeah, confinement. This ain't about being thankful. Confinement, lockdown, reemerging. So there was other headlines. Lockdown, secure your lifestyle. Well, secure my lifestyle. These are strange headlines, you all. They really are strange headlines to see. Look at this. Map of where U.S. states are tightening. Well, I've not looked at that USA Today. I guess I could, you all. I don't really like to do subjects like this personally, but I will for informative use. So look at this, the strict restrictions. And I'm sure this video will get restricted too. It's like every single live video I do, 90% of the time, immediately, let me tell you about this, immediately, I get restriction placed on it, immediately. And I think it's an algorithm doing it. I'm flagged, you all. I'm flagged. That's okay. It doesn't matter what I do. So look at this. So these are all these cases right here that they got going on. Restrictions lifted, restrictions. So I'm going to go to that. I'm going to get to it. I'm going to get to what I want to say. Secure your lifestyle. What a tight grip is about to be unheld. Some people are corrupt behind. There is corruption in every facet of society. There is corruption. There's corruption in the workplace, corruption in relationships, corruption in businesses. It's rampant. It is rampant. But what I found interesting was the definition of lockdown by Merriam-Webster. Oh, they've updated it. Look, they have updated it. 11 hours ago, it was updated. Who updated? Why would you update the Merriam-Webster? The confinement of prisoners to their cells for all or most of the day, temporary security measure. They updated it. An emergency measure in or condition in which people are temporarily prevented from entering or leaving a restricted area or building, such as a school during a threat of danger. But the main definition is the confinement of prisoners to their cells for all or most of the day as temporary security measure. They updated it, you all, 11 hours ago. Look, a temporary condition imposed by governmental authorities during outbreak of epidemic diseases. If you're just tuning in, no. If you're just tuning in, they just updated it 11 hours ago to include all of that. Okay, if you're just tuning in, this is what I wanted to get at when I saw that. They just updated the definition to Merriam-Webster's definition of lockdown to include what's happening now. That's what they've just done. So 11 hours ago, 11 hours ago, they updated this definition to save our world. Oh, I thought it said to save our world. I did. I thought it said to save our world. Oh my goodness, you all. Oh my gosh. But this is the real definition: the confinement of prisoners to their cells for all or most of the day as a temporary security measure. So I don't mean to do that, you all. I don't mean to laugh. Oh my goodness, they've got it. They've got a definition. Examples of lockdown in a sentence. The variant now accounts for the majority of the coronavirus cases in the UK. Prime Minister Boris Johnson delayed by 4 weeks the lifting of England's lockdown restrictions. I can't believe I'm reading this. Now, when you think of a certain individual who had a great big following, and then boom, they're completely wiped off the, you know what, this type of media outlets. And the title of his thing, and I didn't like his raspy voice, the title of his thing was Priz on Play Net. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that was the title of it. So why do you think he picked such a title for that he did, and then he's gone? Boom, out you go. It's like that, yeah. The confinement of prisoners to their cells. I'm going to do something, you all. We're going to do something. So watch this. So I'm going to go back, and I don't think that they've done this. If you want to do this, let's see what it said at a certain period of time. What was the original definition? Because I want to do a custom range. I'm just going to pick this, and I'm just going to pick this, and I'm going to come here, and I'm going to put a different date. I'm going to do 19, just say 1945, and I'm just going to pick another date. So I'll just say 9/8/80, 1981. Let's see if it brings up a different result. Lockdown. See, they have a coronavirus. Florida pressure builds for what? Oh my! You all. What is? Why they got this date right here? And I put a specific date in there, 1922 or 22. How come they've updated it? So what's that? No, that's not right. I don't like that, you all. This should bring up different ones. Lawrence School lockdown. Okay. Coronavirus. Learn how Wuhan dealt with the lockdown. This is 1973, you all. Why, if I put in a certain date range, why is it, why do we got that? Look, a news script. Why are they bringing up the, look at this. It's like they rearranged this. Could COVID lockdown help save the planet? They have went to every single news article? And added to it. Are you all seeing that? They should not have added to it. They did. They went back into the history and they added to it. You can't access those articles anymore. Oh my gosh, you all. You see what they've done? You can't get the articles because they've replaced them. They're all updated. I can't believe that. Wow. You should have been able to go at that period of time frame because it's the search tool. It works for other things. We can't see it. We can't see it, you all. Um, that's kind of, I'm gonna say definition of lockdown. And I still got these same strings. I got this now. Okay, now I got it. Maybe I had the word COVID. I had the word COVID. Okay, this is the dictionary. This is the dictionary I put in. 1945 through 1981, the confining of prisoners to their cells after an escape to a region or during a riot, the state of isolation uh, as instituted as a security measure. The university is on lockdown. Definitions used in this chapter. Um, so yeah, you can do that. Oh my goodness, they got all this going, you all. This is about schools and stuff. Okay, I don't want to read about your schools being on lockdown, but that's kind of like throwing me for a loop. It is. Why do they want to do that? With that, Gina, you all, I don't even pay attention. I don't pay attention. Oh my gosh, you all, I'm getting so wrapped up in this, wrapped up in my thought. I am. You all, this is, I get it honestly, I really. You gotta laugh at this, you all. You gotta laugh at it. Oh my goodness. Oh, now this is one other thing I want to point out. Have you noticed that it wasn't until a few years ago they started using this phrase, you need to know. 3 things you need to know. Everything you need to know. This was repeated over and over on the radio stations. I remember when it first came out a few years ago, even on the Christian radio stations that I listen to, like K-Love, Way FM, uh, Air One, they started saying it too. So you think, oh no, the Christian radio stations, they're not in on it. Hello, they give the news stories, and that's how or they tell the things. Three things you need to know. See, they're even controlled too. You know what I notice about those two? So you could be, they have these fund drives. I'm going all over the place, you all. You just bear with me. They have these fund drives on the radio stations, these Christian radio stations. Okay, and when one station is through with their fund drive, the another stations do it. You know what I've noticed? These are totally different stations. They will play one song, and I've caught them so many times, I turn to a totally different Christian radio station. They're playing the same songs. That's what they're doing. And I think, yeah, yeah, I know what you're doing. Yeah, I think they're all owned by one entity. I really do. These big ones, because when they're global, someone else has complete control of them. Okay, when you have these radio stations that are broadcast around the world, it is controlled by a great big entity. Otherwise, you ain't going to get your local radio station broadcast globally if some great big entity did not own it. That's what I want to say. Now, I like listening to positive and encouraging songs. I do. I like listening to very uplifting songs. Um, I don't want to listen to something that's very depressing. I don't. I like uplifting songs, so I'll tune into that. But yeah, you think about that. You're listening to K-Love. Okay, it is global. Okay, they got it reaching out to the furthest ends of the earth. But if you have these teeny tiny radio stations like they have here in Salem, Indiana, they have a radio station, gospel radio station. That's not getting over there. That's not getting global. You know why? Because some global person don't own it. Okay, that you really need to stop to think about this. Yeah, and when you broadcast the global stations like that, the great big global stations, they will tell you everything you need to know, like three things you need to know. They have to say that on there. If you got these like little radio stations, locally supported, they're not going to say three things you need to know. It's like when you turn on the radio, when you turn on the news stations, they're all repeating the same narrative, you all, because they're all owned by the same entity. Okay, it's all controlled. So really all the information, the 90% of the information that we're getting, it is controlled uh, through a certain pipeline. Yes, every single bit of it. Apple Brooks, honey, you are busy. I just now looked. But yeah, I'm not supposed to be talking about that. I'm supposed to be talking about lockdown means that you are a prisoner in your cell, is what it means. And I don't need to know everything I need to know. Why do you have to tell me what I need to know? Can I decide what I need to know? Why must you control the information? That's what I want to say. Why do they got to control the information? Now, see, I went over there on that. Why do they got to control the information? I'm a free spirit, and you're a free spirit. I was thinking yesterday, I'm a free spirit, and if you try to stick me in a place that has four walls, like I could even say four walls that are made of slate, and you got writing all over it, you got the narrative all over it, and you're going to put me in that spot and say this is your narrative on these four walls. You're going to box me in. You're going to tell me what to say. You know what I'm going to do if it's four slate walls, I'm going to erase everything on that wall. No, I'm not going to listen to it. I'm going to write my own narrative. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write my own narrative because I'm a free thinker. I'm a free spirit. And you know what else I'm going to do? I'm going to knock down one of the walls so I can get out of that you put me in. I'm going to knock it down. I'm not going to stay confined. I'm not. That might cost me my life one day, but oh well. When this body is done, I'm going off to the other rim where my spirit is free, completely free, and it still lives. And this is just a vessel. Okay, this is just a vessel that I use, my spirit uses, just like you. Yeah, don't put me in for a four-walled area with writing all over the walls and you're saying this is what you're going to talk about. Because I'm gonna erase it, and if I can, and I will, I'll break down the wall. I'll bust right through the wall, you all. I will. I don't like being confined, and you don't like being confined. You don't like being told what you are to say and what you're not to say. Okay, that's not right. Or how you're supposed to think and how you're not supposed to think. Okay, where you're supposed to go, where you're not supposed to go. I don't like being told that. I don't. Now, granted, I like to live a quiet life. I don't really like to go very many places because I can find serenity within here. With where I'm at, I can find serenity within here where I'm at. Okay. But you do that to people, you lock them up in their apartments, you lock them up in their houses, and they can't get out and move around or socialize. That is confinement. That's solitary confinement. The only thing different is you got people there with you. You might have your family members. You know what it does to these people? It literally, it messes with you up here. It does. It literally does a number on you. Let me tell you something. When we moved back here into Salem, Indiana, when we was in the military, my children grew up in the military because my husband was in the Air Force when I married him. So like 21 years. All right. So we got this going on. In the military, you're moving all the time. You're meeting people from all walks of life. You're able to make friends from people from all walks of life. And life is good. It is. I'm going to tell you right now, we had a good life in the military. We had a very good life. We were taken care of, okay? We were. And I'm so very thankful. I don't got no complaints whatsoever when it comes to the military because they take care of their own. They do, and you take care of each other. That is community. That is family. Okay, no complaints, none whatsoever. I'm very thankful because it totally enriched my life. And it enriched my life because I got to go different places. I got out of my home state of Indiana, so did my husband. We got to move around to different states. We met people from all walks of life, different faiths, different ethnicities, all of it. It all over it. Okay, my children got to experience that too. It literally enriched our lives, and we knew what it was like to be alone. My husband would go sometimes 9 months out of the year, and I'm left to raise these two children. Okay, but I loved that life. I did. It was really wonderful, and it was somewhat of a controlled life. But I like order. I like order. I don't want no disorder, but I don't want to be on lockdown. I didn't even experience that in the military. We didn't. There was freedom. There really were. Even though you live on a base, you can go anywhere on that base. They have everything you need. I liked it. I liked feeling secure, and I get it. I get it. It's for our safety. Sometimes military bases, they are open to the public, and I'd like a Fort Meade. I didn't like that. I didn't. It was a drive on base. You can drive on base, Fort Meade. You may not be able to now, but when I was there, you did drive right on base. Some bases, you don't show your if you ain't got an ID, you ain't getting on that base, and I like that. I do like that at times. I did liked it, but yeah, I felt safe. I felt secure. Okay, they take care of you. But how did I get off on that, you all? You just listen to me. Yes, they take care of me and my family. But yeah, being all over the world, you're enriched in your life. Gina, now I went down off on the rabbit trail and I forgot what I was saying. I really did. Yeah, I don't want to be confined. Now look at this. You can't jail your spirit. Yes, that's right. You cannot jail my spirit, honey. They can't jail our spirit. That is the best thing, you all, right there. You cannot jail the spirit. Now, this is really terrible. And could you imagine this? It could be worse. Now, let's look about it could be worse. We're talking about a prisoner. It could be worse. We're going to read this because, when I was young, there was this man. He was a prisoner in the war. Was somewhere with Italy was involved. He was a gunner on top of the machine thing. He had an injury that went all the way down to his leg. And you know what? He was a prisoner of war for 3 years. You know what they did? They stuck him in a tiny concrete cell. He was a tall man. He was around 6'4". He was fed pumpkin for 3 years in a cell. He defecated on himself. That's how he got treated, in a cell, a prisoner of war. And it might not. It wasn't even this big, 10 by 6. I don't think it was. It could have been, but okay. This is like a concrete cell. This man was in there 3 years. His mother prayed for him every single day that God bring him home safely. He was brought home. That's a cell. That's a prisoner in confinement. It could be worse. We could be stuck in a 10 by 6, or let's say a 6 by 5 cell. We could be in a little bitty thing, and it could be really, really bad. And you ain't got room to go to the bathroom. You can't get up and stretch and see anything. You could be in total darkness, you all. It could be a whole lot worse. So let's think about that. I like to look at both sides. It could be a whole lot worse. Let me get to this right here. You can't jail the spirit. So let's talk about this. And you can't jail the spirit. Political prisoners in the U.S., a collection of their biographies. Oh my gosh, look at this oh no. Let me tell you just now what happened. So what just now happened? As soon as I flip that over to that, you all, I'm sorry, this is going to be a little bit of a long video. I could not believe. I got to plug in to see my phone is dying. My phone is dying, you. I got to plug this in. I get excited. Now, I've got this plugged in. I had to put my battery pack. Okay, it's on. I don't need this, so look, no. Look at this. These were political prisoners right here. These are the people they prisoned. Let's look at this, you all. We always end up in something like this. The political prisoners. You can't jail the spirit. Political prisoners in the U.S., a collection of biographies. Native Americans, New African blacks, Puerto Ricans, North Americans, and Irish. Look at that, you all. Oh my goodness, look at that. So it has been assembled by the committee to end the Marion lockdown. There was a lockdown called the Marion lockdown, CEML. So look, a political prisoner is a people who have made a conscious political decision and acted on them to oppose the United States government and who have been incarcerated as a result of those actions. These actions are taken in response to economic, social, and political conflicts within our society. Often, political prisoners are not incarcerated on charges stemming from these actions. Many are they're framed up on totally unrelated charges. They got framed or vague conspiracy laws. Geronimo Pratt and Leonard Peltier are in prison on a frame-up of murder charges, while Elandrinio Torres is in prison for seditious conspiracy. Political prisoners may also be people who are incarcerated for a non-political reason but become political activists once in prison. This is a category that would contain George Jackson, among others. So, okay, now there is a prisoner of war called POWs. These are people who are members of oppressed nations who believe that their nations are at war with the United States and are building towards such a war. So look at this. So we have the Geneva Convention Protocols 1 and 2 and Resolution 1514 of the United Nations General Assembly states that the colonialism is a crime against humanity, and those fighting against it are prisoners of war. Oh my gosh, you all, the colonialism, you were a prisoner of war from back then. Okay, so yeah. So they got special conditions that are constructed for the attack on political prisoners, okay? And they got laws to suppress them, to repress them, okay? So they got control units too. Prisoners who are not political. You all, this is a brief historical overview from the turn of the century, 1950. Mass uprisings and political activity was met with repression and imprisonment. From 1915, if you didn't know this, to 1920, there was a massive repression of international workers of the world, the Wobblies, the Palmer raids, and the Communist Party and its sympathizers. In 1940, war resistors were sent to prison, and towards the end, they were once again in prison during the McCarthy period. And in 1950, the people of Puerto Rico rose up against the U.S. in pursuit of their independence in the Grito de Jajawa. This rebellion was met with a massive repression, which in turn was met by attacks against the U.S. government in Washington, D.C. by the Puerto Rican nationalists. Oh, no, we ain't got started yet, you all. This video is going to get me in trouble. This is going to get me in trouble, you all. Then came the 60s. The government attacked the Black Liberation Movement, murdering more than 30 Black Panthers and incarcerating dozens upon dozens of Black revolutionaries. In the following decade, there was great activity around the question of oppressed nations with the borders of the United States, with several major organizations being formed and engaging in every aspect of struggle with the United States in efforts to end the hundreds of years of colonial rule over their respective nations. These organizations, all of which have met with enormous repression, include the Republic of New Africa. I did not know there was a Republic of New Africa. A Black organization seeking 5 southern states for a new African national territory, the Black Liberation Army, the BLA, a clandestine political military organization, and then the American Indian Movement, the AIM, occupied Wounded Knee for 71 days and demanded return of its national territories. Now, granted, who was it that said that colonialism, they're not going to have colonialism? We just read it. Somebody said they're not going to have it. I think it was a Geneva Convention, Geneva thing. You were going to be a prisoner if you were against against the colonization. They did that. Oh my goodness, you all, they did that. So they made it a law that you cannot speak up against it. Look at this. So it was the United Nations, the Geneva Convention Protocols 1 and 2, 1514, states that colonialism is a crime against humanity, and those fighting against it are prisoners of war. Okay? Oh my gosh, you all. So that's kind of a twisted. I'm not getting what they're saying. So if colonialism is a crime against humanity, and then you say those fighting against it are a prisoner of war? That I don't understand that. That don't make sense to me. It really doesn't make sense to me. But let's look about this. You know, there's been struggles all throughout this nation's history. They didn't want to return. I know what happened at the Wounded Knee. And I know what happened to the lands of the Indians. They literally took them all. How would you like that? You lived here all your life, your generations and generations and generations, and then you have someone come over and they take your land from you, and they slowly, you get integrated into their society and you join them, and they go to the other territory. The next tribe of Indians, they go over there and they do the same thing, divide and conquer, and you join them, and then you go against your other. You see, it literally went boom, conquering and conquering is what happened. Okay, it's what happened, you all. There's some more on here. Look at this. They wanted to return their. Look, there's something else. The Movimiento de Liberación Nacional Puerto Rican Fuerza. Look at this. Puerto Rico. Did you all know anything about that? They had political prisoners. Oh, they're getting 30 years or more. Oh my gosh, you get 30 years or more. Look at this. In New York, they efforts to free Leonard Peltier, a Native American leader, from Geronimo Pratt, the Black Panther leader, who is now one of the longest held political prisoners in the world. Oh my gosh, you all, the longest. Now, why you got to go do that? Why you got to hold that, the longest political prisoner in the world? I never knew that, you all. I never knew where they started off from. I didn't know. There's been suppression and repression going on since the lands were, yeah. And I know they don't like to say in this. Um, there's something else. Plowshares, a plowshare movement, which refuses to allow the threat of prison to stop them from working against nuclear weapons. So we got all kinds of movements. Look, Cuba grants political asylum to Asada Shakar, the leader of the Black Liberation Army. She was tried 7 times and found not guilty. 6 times, finally framed and convicted and sent to prison on life plus 33 years. In 1979, she was freed from Clinton Prison in New Jersey, and then she appeared in Cuba, and so they helped him escape. Wow, you all. So Mexico refuses to extradite William Morales, and Cuba grants political asylum. A control unit shut down. The judge recognizes political prisoners. You know, we could be there. We have political prisoners in this world. We do. We have political prisoners. Look, so this thing is loaded with it. There's so many political prisoners. Yeah. How'd I get off on that, you all? I was talking about it could be worse, and it could be. You said you could be confined to a little bitty, teeny tiny cell where you can't go to the bathroom. Or you could be in total darkness. You could be strapped to your bed and not able to move. You're totally isolated. So it could be a whole lot worse. Let's hope we never see the day. But there are people who are seeing that day. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Somebody, you're called a, look at this. So when William Morales was captured by the U.S. in 1978, he was called a terrorist and a ultra-leftist by the Guardian newspaper, which certainly did not work for his freedom. Yet now here is a mass campaign in Mexico calling him a political prisoner and a freedom fighter, and Cuba giving him political asylum. An ultra-leftist? No, wait a minute. They didn't, let's look at, they're playing the parties against one another, okay? It wasn't good to be ultra-left. For him, it wasn't. He was too ultra-leftist. That's what it sounds like, right? I don't know. I don't know. They're playing people. That's what I think it is doing. So the people, we got people trying to free these people, but let's just face it, when you go up against, look, the National Human Rights Campaign to free political prisoners. So they do have a campaign. How this book was assembled, you all. They have campaigns. Well, he looks kind of wild, but he looks happy. He was a Native American political prisoner. He was Lakota, a 44-year-old born on Turtle Mountain Reservation in North Dakota. He traces his roots of his political activism and to the racism and brutal poverty which he witnessed growing up. The U.S. was attempting to terminate the reservations, and they did really good job. They really did. Oh my goodness! Aberrate the international agreements allocating these lands to Indian people. They relocated the Indians to urban ghettos, and he joined his relatives of the Pacific Northwest in 1970. There was an opportunity for him to express his aspirations to actively help his people. So he did. The American Indian movement. But then guess what happened? Following the Trail of Tears, Following the trail of broken treaties, the FBI targeted the AIM leadership for neutralization, either by embroiling them in endless fabricated court cases or by outright assassination. Upon his return, he was brutally assaulted by two off-duty policemen and charged with attempted murder, trying to defend himself. So that's what happened to him, you all. And he was causing trouble. This is what's going to happen to you. Okay, this is what's going to happen to you and to anybody when you go against the establishment. Okay, when you try to interfere, this is what's going to happen to you. I'm sure it's a lot worse today. Okay, it's a lot worse today. This is what's going to happen. They're going to get rid of you. You're going to get framed. You're going to get thrown in jail. You're going to get killed. Your family members are going to get targeted. And they're going to ruin you financially. They're going to plant all this kind of stuff on your computer. They will plant pornography on your computer. They'll do it all. They'll get you in so much trouble. If you cross that line, you're out of here. So if you're not ready to live that type of a life, if you're not ready to be a political target, don't engage in such activity, because that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. I don't like reading it. Yeah, they go on a hunger strike. Now they have Standing Deer. Standing Deer, the Native American political prisoner. They had to stand and fight to the end, you all, and that makes me mad. That makes me mad. You know, it really does make me mad, and I can't even find out my grandfather's real Native American name, because they took it and called him Ayers, and I don't know the rest of it. I don't, and it makes me mad. They don't want you. If you're a Native American, they don't want some people tracing their history all the way back, okay? Because if you can trace your history all the way back, there might be something that they owe you, okay? That's what I'm talking about. They might be something they owe you. Yeah, they don't want to come up against that. So if you just erase it, burn the records, have these fires that happen in these buildings that house these records from years ago, and even like archaeological ruins and all this stuff, just have something automatically catch on fire. That's all. That's how you have to do it. Just like that, you all. Now we have Muammar Abu Jamal. He was a political prisoner. His background was radical, revolutionary media, print, and broadcast. A young activist in the Black Panther Party. He was graphic arts in California, a culture ministry headquarters, radio outlets. He started the MOVE organization. Well, I think this is still going, you all. So I guess something came of his movement. I guess it did. They rated his broadcast globally. The raid was broadcast globally and illuminated the depth of the corruption in the city officials. Oh, wow. Oh, my gosh. Globally, you all. Where was that at? Oh, my gosh. Pennsylvania Supreme Court direct appeal. So there's so much. Look at this. Now you have Sundiata, the new African prisoner of war. He got it too. You all, and I'm not doing this to inflame nothing. I'm not. I'm just shocked that you have this stuff going on, and I never knew that they wanted to have a new Africa over here. I didn't, and maybe you didn't know it too. If you're African American, maybe you didn't know it either. You may not have known it. You really may not have. You may not have heard it. This video's not for everyone. I can guarantee you I've already got this restricted. flagged on there right now. Big old slap. That's right. And here's what happens. If I post things that are of a nature that is offensive, I get a community strike against me. And I'm not able to upload for a week. I'm not able to do nothing for a week. And or you know what they can do to me? They can terminate this channel right here. They could literally, if they want to, they can cut me off right here and now, and I'll be no more on the YouTube without warning. Without warning, you all. They will get rid of me just like that. Okay? That's what happens when you go against community standards. They're gonna cut you off. Your voice is gonna be gone. So I should tell myself, Gina, do you realize what you're doing? Gina, you're sharing things that are very sensitive in nature, but I'm doing what my spirit tells me to do. I am. I'm aware of it, and I am aware. Okay, I'm aware that I could get cut off of here at any moment, and then I'll be no more on here, you all. That's what. Yes, that's what I'm aware of. Political prisoner. Oh my goodness. Yeah, there was a lot of people who were framed for no reason. And let me tell you this right now. Who formed the Ku Klux Klan? It was the Democratic Party formed the Ku Klux Klan. They formed the KKK. That's what I want you to know. They formed the KKK. Look it up yourself. Okay, now let's look at this. So, and we have him, Richard Mafunde. Okay, Richard Mafunde. Well, one day I'm just going to tell you that Geronimo Zizaga, I'm going to tell you this country is going to be split one day. It's going to be totally split, and they're not going to stop it. Okay? Al-Mujahid bin Wahad, he's a political prisoner. Ramona Johnson, Africa, political prisoner. Well, Sekoa Abdullah Odinga, New Africa prisoner. Oh, and it was wrong. It was wrong to bring people over here, make them prisoners. It was wrong, you all. We got Puerto Rico. So, yeah, there's no wonder there's so much going on in this world. The roots go deep. The roots go really deep, okay? The roots go deep in this country, if you think about it. Oh, my gosh. This person literally, he was captured and he was put in prison in segregation without any explanation. They insulted, provoked him, and even the death of his father was used to manipulate and humiliate him. When he asked for permission to attend his father's funeral, it became a joke among the prison guards. Upon arriving, he was forced to undergo testing more than twice a month. He was administered drug tests. For more than 9 months, he was suffering from problems from aggravated by a severe case of hemorrhoids. And they probably sodomized him. You think that don't go on? Yes, they do. They sodomize prisoners, okay? They do it. And you know what? When they invaded, let me tell you about the Taliban and stuff. When they went over there in Afghanistan and they showing videos of these other people who were fighting the Taliban or the Saddam Hussein, they were sodomizing the generals and the commanders in front of the troops. That is barbaric, you all. That is wrong. But that's what they do to humiliate you and to send a message straight forward. This video is not for everyone. This is information, educational. Yes, they do that, you all. You gotta think twice before you do something. This is what they're going to do to you. This is what you're going to get when you stand up against, when you become the resistance against the people in charge. You're going to suffer all these things. Don't take this calling that you might want to get out there and do that lightly. You're going to face stuff like this, you all. This is going to happen, and it still happens. These are war tactics. They know how to break you down physically and mentally. They can break you. They will break your spirit. That's what they want to do, break your spirit. So could you imagine this, you all? Could you imagine this? Um, Oh, he was taken to a prison hospital under the pretext of medical treatment, and once he arrived, he was put in segregation for 9 days. He was subject to harassment day and night. He was forced to change cells constantly, and it was accompanied by extreme temperature changes. Oh my gosh, you all, this is what they do to you. So after his arrival in Leavenworth, he began to suffer from an intolerable skin allergy, and the prison's response was to let him wait for 3 weeks before he could see a skin specialist. As a result, he now has splotches on his skin because he was sprayed with Agent Orange. When he served in Vietnam, he was sprayed with Agent Orange. They did that to the people. They did. So, if any, this was between the skin allergy and exposure to Agent Orange, you all. Oh my gosh. So, he was considered in lockdown for more than 4 years. This is what's going to happen. This is what they do it to women, too. Okay. The women that's right. See, she had to go into 1984. She had to go into behavior modification unit. Okay. Do you think this stuff is make believe? This ain't make believe. She was the Puerto Rican. She studied in Illinois, and they did this to her in psychology and sociology. 15-year-old son. She was recognized for outstanding work. Okay, look, in the Puerto Rican. She is serving an 80-year sentence for seditious conspiracy and other charges after serving an 8-year in-state sentence while incarcerated. She occasionally contributed articles and stuff. Look at that. She was she was considered a danger. So she had to go to behavior modification unit. It was closed by order of the federal court in 1979. Look, in this unit, a guard was always a male assigned to watch their behavior and moves, and the cells were 12 foot by 7, and they had opaque windows that cannot be opened, and the lighting is terrible, and the cells are bugged so that the prison administrations overhear their conversations. 12 foot by 7. That's not too big at all, you all, but she obviously needed behavior modification. And that's what's going to happen to a lot of people. And that's what is happening to a lot of people. Look at this. Look what they did to her, you all. It says, due to the vicious and distorted propaganda used against her, she was called a bloodthirsty terrorist. The guards have shown that they are scared of and they hate her. This has created a very dangerous situation for Ida Luz. Some of the guards were known to remark, why let her out of that cell at all? Don't you know she can kill you? The prison administration fed this into hysteria. They fed into the hysteria by holding seminars on terrorism and how to combat it. Oh my gosh, you all. Their 16-hour trip to visit her, the authorities denied them an extended visit and limited their visit to 2 hours. And the use of the telephone was severely restricted. Every time she wanted to use the phone, a prison guard had to verbally give her permission. And the routine was designed to humiliate and discourage her from using the phone, since she was handcuffed behind the back. The same routine was in effect for her legal calls, and it was a violation of her rights to privacy. She was prohibited from exercising jointly with Haiti. When she was allowed to take recreation, a guard accompanied her in order to ensure that no other inmate spoke with her, you all. This is horrific. Oh my gosh, you all. That's horrific. That's making me lightheaded. The energy from that is literally, this is making me lightheaded. I don't like to read stuff like that. I literally, boom. Yes, that's what they did to her. Okay, I'm starting to get this in my ears too. I'm getting an imbalance occurring within my ears reading this. I'm hitting some nerves in the spiritual realm. I'm just going to tell you right now. I am hitting nerves in the spiritual realm and in this realm that I'm in. She was a Puerto Rican prisoner of war. Oh my gosh. Oh, she had children. She was a reverend. Okay. When she was 11 years old, she and her family migrated to New York and moved to Chicago. Why is this stuff happening in Chicago? I'm thinking Chicago's not your friend. That's what I'm thinking. Chicago is not your friend. Okay. So she became a community activist and a pastor of the First Congregation Church of Chicago and raised her children there. And let's see what happened. She did a lot of good, I guess. She did something right because she got herself captured. She captured and placed in administrative detention because she participated in the committee to free the 5 nationalists, eventually becoming the active member of the National Committee to Free Puerto Rican Prisoners. Do you ever hear about that? Oh my gosh, she was incarcerated 24 hours a day, forced to endure the explosively vulgar sexual taunting of male prisoner guards. And they stood before her completely, a prisoner stood before her completely naked. She was complained to the guard on duty, and he laughed at her and told her men were free to do as they wanted on their unit. She suffered a heart attack due to the daily trauma of her environment and the lack of fresh air and total isolation. Oh my gosh, you all, this is what they do to you. Other countries do the same thing. That's how humanity gets treated. Look at this, you all. This is terrible. On June of '84, she experienced brutal assault. After the visit from her daughter, she was ordered to submit to a strip search, and she refused. She did not refuse. Upon dressing after the search, she was ordered to strip again for a second search. When she protested the harassment, the male officer accused her of disobeying orders and she consented to the second strip on the condition that it be executed by female guards, and he did not permit that and forced her down on her knees and held her hand behind her back. Her head was pressed between his legs, and he directed 4 female guards to undress her and conduct the strip search. That's what they do. That, you all, he's a reptilian, okay? Reptilian, satanic, demonic, possessed prison guards. I'm telling you, if you are a woman or you are a man, you're a teenager or you're something, you better think twice before engaging in activity, because when it comes right down to it and they really mean business, this is going to happen. I need to take my own advice too. This stuff, you don't think that don't happen? That happens. You just read the account of that woman that they did that to. Okay? It happens. This country isn't the only country that does it. And in today's society, you're going to see even worse than that happening. You're going to see even worse than that happening. And it does happening. That's right. In the 80s, Mary, that's right. In the 80s, 1980s. Okay, you have the book, 1984 by, yes, Animal Farm. It happens in today's society. Okay, it happens in today's society too. Look how horrific that was back in the 80s. We got some history repeating itself, you all. Oh, they are everywhere. They took the shape. They got in a nice warm body, and that's what they do. They get in a warm body. They get in your thoughts and they take over you, okay? They're demonic. They are demonic. So these people, you talking about the aliens up there in the UFOs? What's on the earth? Look what was done to that woman. What do you call that? Do you call that just a normal human being having a normal experience? No. That's demons. That is a demon. That is demonic spirits. That is reptilians. That is somebody against humanity. That is somebody that don't respect the human race. That is what it is. And don't respect women at all. Think women are here for their pleasure. Okay, that's, yeah. No, you all, the women get done worse. But then they do it to children too, you all. It's totally disgusting. Okay, we've got evil on this planet. It's been on this planet for thousands of years. This is truly a battle of the light against the darkness. Evil against good. You try to be good, you got the evil right there waiting to pounce on you. And it's spiritual and it's physical. Okay? That's what you can just boil it right down to it. And I would advise you, you better watch your comments on here because you're going to get deleted. If you're rude, I don't know what's going on here. You might even get blocked. Okay. Yes, the reptilians are the serpent seed. That's why it's the serpent seed there. Yes, they've woven their way into this on earth. Oh my gosh, you all. This is all kinds. I never knew about the Puerto Rican struggle. I never knew that they did that to them too. And who are the people who's the ones that were calling the shots back then? Oh my gosh, you all. Who were the ones? Just think of their families, you all. DePaul University. This woman graduated with a master's degree from Illinois University. Why is this happening in Illinois, you all? You got to ask yourself. Why is it happening in Illinois? Do you know they had a big harp thing in Illinois, like a big old harp facility thing? Yeah. Illinois. That is about right. It is literally heartbreaking. You come over here to try to make a better life for yourself, but then when you find your independence and you make that life, guess what happens? Boom! You're terminated, you're taken out of here. Now, granted, not everybody's going to do that to people. There's good people in this world. There's a whole lot more good people than bad, but why is it that the bad call the shots? You know why? You know, somebody once explained this to me. People said, well, this earth is a living hell. This is hell on earth. I feel like I am in hell. Well, this is supposed to be the devil's domain right here on earth. This is where he's at. And that's what they said. It's these women. Oh my gosh, you all. These women. She was a a counselor at a social service agency for services to alcoholics and the homeless, and she was very poor. Look, she wanted to fight the evil, you all. She went to Northeastern Illinois University. What is going on with that? Oh my gosh, you all. Chicago. What's this evil coming out of Chicago? It's mind-boggling to me. It's so mind-boggling to me. It don't matter whether you're a woman or whether you're a man. It don't matter. If you step on the wrong toes, if you stick your nose in a place that it's not supposed to be, if you interfere in something that you're not supposed to interfere with, you're gonna be a target. They're not playing games. As you can see, this is 1980. They're not playing games. They were sending a very, very strong message that they're not playing. And I don't think they're playing in today's day and age either. I don't think they're playing, you all. I know they're not playing. And I hope and pray we never see such a day here where it happens on a mass scale, because it does happen still today. In every country around the world, this is happening. and we don't know the half of it. Well, look at this woman. She's a political prisoner in Ohio. She had 8 children. She grew up. There was obvious racism and disparity between blacks, whites, rich and poor. She was vividly trying to make sense out of a blind date, which many white people felt towards black. They were struggling against the immovable position. So we had it back then. She looked back over her life, and she's struck by the reality of the charges of sedition and RICO. Look, I find great irony in these charges serious enough to threaten the rest of my life. I ask these questions. Wasn't it white Europeans who came to this country and put down, destroyed, and overthrew by the use of force whole nations of Native American people, virtually wiping out an entire civilization? Wasn't it our ancestors who stole and enslaved African people? Isn't it our country that has a long history of going outside its borders to determine what form of government people of other countries should have? What is it when high-ranking government officials can lie to people of this country and for their own profit and ideology sell arms and solicit funds to finance and overthrow Nicaragua? Is that racketeering? Is that corrupt organization? Is that seditious? 8 of us are charged with conspiracy to overthrow the U.S. government by the use of force, and we never had a red-eye missile. We had no tanks, no helicopters, no $100 million. It's our belief that it is the people of a country who decide to throw off an unjust and corrupt government. It is the people of a country who decide what to build. It always has been, and it always will be. Patricia Gross